Hey, Elliot, welcome to the show.
What up, Troy? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So the purpose of having you come on is you're very outspoken, strong male. You have strength camp. You teach men to be the strongest version of themselves, and actually you swept the internet quite extensively. And most of the young men that I see out there,
they claim some strongest version of themselves, and I know that they've either studied with your stuff or it's maybe they haven't, and it's just permeating the culture. So I think that's powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that you're an incredible business person, an incredible marketer, and you're out there and using hyperbole and also being divisive. You have your own sensibilities and feelings. I know that your parents your dad was from Belize. He lived out in the bush, the jungle, or slay a pig, and that's not your average American kind of thing to do. But he sounds like a man of the earth, and you guys were brought up a little bit different. He was a strong male, and you're bringing that level of consciousness out into the internet now, when we have a sea of just like, oh, everything's so a-okay, and everybody's just. It's just a big wish-wash, wishy-washy, wish-wash. And so I wanted to bring you on, and a couple of people had some controversy with bringing you on. And I'm here to just say, I need to give people a voice that don't look like me, because there's a lot of racial tension out there. We're living in very unique times. And I think it's up to us as men and as leaders to show up and have a conversation. And to me, this is sitting around the fire. And again, let me repeat. My mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. My vision is clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all mankind in my lifetime. I believe in reuniting the brotherhood of man and bringing the white man, the yellow man, the red man, and the black man back to the fire. And we sit there and we solve our problems and our solutions. So please share your perspective, where you're at. And I shared that video of you 2 or 3 days ago. Maybe you can share your perspective on that, Elliot, please.
Give me a second. I just lost you on Zoom. Sorry. I should be back. Oh, I got to start my video again. Sorry. You're talking about the video. You're asking me about the video I put up the other day. Referring to what we see in the world right now happening, the divisiveness as something far deeper than simply black versus white. And so, and so two of the things.
You and I see that. I don't think a lot of people do see that.
Because we're so focused on the material, we're so focused on what we can see, smell, taste, and touch. A lot of times people forget about the mind and how the mind is being affected, and then they forget about the spirit. These are the things that are a little less tangible, they're a little less sensual, they're a little less right in front of your face, smacking you so you can see and smell it. But it is the root system. It is the primary system. It's where all our physical experience emanates from. The mind and the spirit realm. And so I wanted to bring awareness to the fact that there's no doubt whatsoever that our minds are being manipulated. We are being pitted against each other with false paradigms, false stories of victimhood and oppression. And it sounds crazy saying it, it's like one of these doctor terms, but a lot of this is all in our head. It's all in your head. A lot of the things that people are claiming don't actually exist. They're just buying into the story. They're believing the story. They're embodying these stories. And then therefore the physical experience is gonna reflect that. But, we could talk about that and dealing with the mind.
can you be specific on that? And I agree with you. My meditation teacher said that 98% of all diseases are psychosomatic. So could you please be specific on what is kind of like a false narrative or what's happening out there?
Well, good. I'll tell you a good example. I remember being in like 3rd, 4th grade and studying. They gave us our history books, and we were supposed to be studying American history. And I lived in a community that was white and black. You know, I grew up with kids that were white and black. And the first time that this whole idea that was proposed to us, that black people were slaves and that they were oppressed and beaten, and white people are guilty for this, and white people were bad for doing so, I noticed right then and there, being mixed race, that there quickly became a dynamic between the white and black kids in my class. You know, mind you, we're 6 years old, we're 7 years old. We don't know about racism. By the way, racism isn't even a term that I heard when I was a kid. I don't know if it was just me, but the term didn't exist. We used to say prejudice. I don't know if you remember that, Troy, but back in the day, we used to say prejudice. We didn't say racist. I think that's more of a new term that's been made up to create more division. But anyway, prejudice to me is a more accurate term. It means to judge someone before you know them. But anyway, I digress. The point is that none of the tension, none of the strife in that dynamic existed before the story, right? And so I'm convinced that a big part of what's playing out in front of us relates back to many stories, but particularly this one that keeps getting played out or projected and told to us over and over and over again, that remember, America comes from a foundation of black slavery and white oppression that cannot be outlived. It seems like that's an excuse that people continue to use, either for white people to continue to feel guilty for something that I'm not even sure. Look, I don't buy into everything that we've been told as children in our history books. I don't know exactly what slavery looked like. And just because the history books told us that, because Hollywood tells me that, doesn't mean I just believe it. But anyway, I see the fruits of it, and they're not good. White people feel guilty. Black people feel victimized. And more than anything, it pits the people against the people so that we don't see who the true enemy is. And that's when we can get into who's pulling the puppet strings here, who's writing our history books, and who are they influenced by. And that's when we go into the spiritual battle, because there is a demonic, satanic element to all this. There is the destroyer that wants to see us destroy one another, and they're doing a great job with it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that for sure. There are dark forces that are happening. I follow politics and geopolitics, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they're programmed by the talking points of the narrative. And so people think that the orange man is bad and that he's a racist. Racism and misogyny is being thrown around so easily right now to marginalize people. Again, back to the divide and conquer. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the classic battle of light and evil, or these dark forces, Elliott.
Well, you say dark forces, and it's amazing because we recognize them as dark forces. But if you look at the mythology, you look at you look at the Bible, and you look at spiritual wisdom literature, you come to understand that evil always shows up as light. That's why Lucifer was the angel of light. Evil always shows up as something desirable. Evil never shows up as something dark or ugly up front. Now, when you scratch the surface, you'll discover that, whoa, there's a whole lot of nastiness at the core. But ultimately, evil's going to show up telling you, hey, I got something free for you. I have privilege for you. I have I'm going to give you the right to overcome natural law, these things like abortion. So a lot of the things that we're accepting as so-called good, or I would even put it progressive, because it is a so-called progressive agenda, shows up as something that to many people is appealing and appeasing and gives them what they want, but ultimately defies God, defies nature, and destroys humanity. And it absolutely 100% is.
So let's back up a little bit, Elliot. The last couple of months, we've had this whole coronavirus, weirdness, this pandemic. I mean, the world has changed right before our eyes. Been on this planet for 54 years, and nothing like this have I ever experienced. So we experienced that for a couple of months. Then I started protesting for health freedom and awareness around vaccinations and health freedom, medical freedom. I believe that wearing a mask and breathing in your own CO2 is dangerous for long periods of time. And so I stood up for that. And then all of a sudden, whammo, all of a sudden we have race riots.
Right.
And so maybe you could take us back just the last 2 or 3 months. I mean, you're an astute pillar in the society. I mean, you've got a big company. You handle a lot of men. You're communicating with a lot of people online. You're an intelligent, holistic health professional. Tell me, what's your perspective? What's your whole take on this stuff?
Well, my opinion is that it's all made up, and there's enough evidence to prove that it's all made up. The virus is made up. Doesn't mean the virus doesn't exist, but it was man-made and deployed as a weapon against people, against the people. But it's not even the fact that the virus was created as a weapon and sent out to destroy us. What the real virus was, once again, is the mind virus that the media injected into us. The mind virus associated with the media constantly using fear tactics to get us to bow down to our so-called leaders who were so happy to imprison us. They were so happy to lock us up in our house. They were happy to divide us. They were happy to use this as a divisive tool. They were happy to muzzle us. I mean, I see a lot of things symbolically, and that whole put a mask on is really a matter of shutting people up, muzzling them down. That is a form of global oppression. This is before, see, what they used was this story that we have to believe the media and the so-called scientists, because there's a lot of fake scientists out there, a lot of fake doctors out there, a lot of fake officials out there, so-called leaders, that we need to believe them and listen to them, and they need to save us. I don't need the government to save me from a virus. I don't need them to do me any favors. But one of the things you started to recognize is that the COVID story started changing so much. And then it became, no, you're wearing this mask because you're saving other people. And so then it very quickly became a us against us. So when there's a so-called virus out there like that, you become my enemy, right? When the lockdowns first started happening, and I was having a conversation with my wife, she was like, oh, what's the big deal? It's kind of optional. You don't have to do it. And, what are people going to do? I said, baby, you don't understand. That's not why that's not their ultimate goal. Ultimate goal was to get you to be a snitch against me, because now I'm putting other people at risk. It's all about turning us against one another. And one of the things you start to see when people are turned against one another is this virtue signaling. So now the mask in many states, some states is mandatory, which is oppression at its finest, global oppression. Everybody's oppressed, black, white, brown. It does not matter your skin color. They showed you who the enemy is with COVID, and that is you. They hate you. They want to shut you up. Does not matter your skin color. Once that started to fade, when that narrative began to fade because of all their lies were exposed about how many people were going to die and how deadly and bad the virus was, and none of that panned out the way they wanted it to pan out. And when I start saying they, I do have a literal deliberate they. And in American politics, we call them progressive liberals, Democrats. In the world, we call them the cabal, the New World Order. And so when the New World Order that wants to destroy America through multiple different means, but they see Donald Trump as a threat, they didn't get what they wanted with this whole, mail-in ballots and people going to stay in their home so that they can trick the election. They needed something else, and it immediately became okay. Now the people are starting to wake up and look at the leaders, or to look at those that are pitting us against one another, and those who are pulling our strings. And they said, we got to turn them against each other. And they have a long time stand in building this narrative about black versus white in America. It's the easiest thing to trigger. All they got to do is play up a couple stories, and all of a sudden there's riots in the streets. And so one of the best ways to control the people, and I saw a meme yesterday, it was pretty cool. There was a king standing up in his castle, and then he had like his advisor next to him, and down below his castle were all these people. There were pitchfork people, and there were people with torches. And the advisor says to the king, hey, they won't attack you if you turn the pitchfork people against the torch people. Turn the people against each other, and they're not gonna attack the real enemy. And this is more of what this is, 100%. And it's all based on lies. The COVID hysteria was based on lies, and the rioting right now is all based on lies.
Okay, all right, I hear that. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Democrats, because here's another divisive tool, right? Democrats, red, blue, Republican. We've got an election this year. Mm-hmm. We had the second wave of Bernie weirdness, right. and now we're stuck with Sleepy Joe Biden. I mean, that guy's dangerous. Mm-hmm. I mean, on all levels. Like the fact that he's being propped up and he's so senile and like decrepit and unfunctional, and on top of it, he's got all this sexual stuff. So I don't want to get too political, but you mentioned liberal Democrats. Now, I've done enough research over the last 20 years to start studying this. Now, do you think these liberal Democrats are just simply liberal Democrats, or have they been compromised monetarily, funded by a certain faction of people, maybe through the cartels, maybe through the drug companies? Has their voting power and their attitude that's become more Marxist, more communist, more socialist, because they're being funded by a certain faction that wants to interject that energy into society? Or are these just your average Democrats and Republicans are just normal? Or has both sides been infiltrated? Like, what's really going on as far as you can see?
Well, you're making a lot of good points. Remember, it's a mind virus, but we also got to look at who's creating and injecting the virus. And the so-called progressives, just from where I'm at, with looking at things with my eyes, they're more of the globalist agenda. The globalist agenda, this whole open borders agenda, so-called progressive agenda, is all about money. It's 100% about money. It's called standardization. The progressives like to act like they're all about diversity, but they're not. They don't want diversity. They want us all thinking the same way, buying the same products, going to the same stores. If you go around the globe and you see, like, a lot of these poor countries, they're advertising American products, American food. What they want is to level the playing field, 100%, make us all gray, so that we can be more predictable with our buying behaviors, with our submissive behavior. So it's really about creating a standard human being rather than actually honoring our differences.
You mean like a eunuch?
Right. That's exactly. Yeah. They want to level out man and woman. They don't want any differences between the sexes. They don't even want the home, the family, to have any clout or say. They literally want us all to be one gray, flat, homogenous, unique, right? What's like when you say asexual mass of robots. That the small minority, like these World Health Organizations and like the globalist organizations like the EU and so forth, they want that to be the puppet master, not sovereign countries. And that's why Donald Trump is such a threat. Donald Trump is a threat because he puts America first. He doesn't put globalism first. He doesn't put standardization first. He doesn't put the whole idea of standardization first. He wants to keep America unique, sovereign, strong. And America's the biggest threat. America's the biggest threat to the globalist agenda. Right, the globalist agenda.
And so, and because the media has been so manipulated and people believe that Orange Man is bad, we actually can't talk about politics. Because if you side with Trump, you are the fucking devil.
Right. So, one of the things I was thinking about earlier is I heard this quote many years ago that if you want to know who your enemy is, look at who you're not allowed to criticize. We live in backwards world. What's right is wrong is right. And if you watch the media and you listen to what they tell you is wrong, i.e. Orange Man is bad, you know that it's right. That was my first, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. But when I started to see what the media was doing to him, I was like, wait a second, I've never seen this before. Something else must be going on. The media has never turned on a president the way and we've had some bad presidents doing some bad things. And in retrospect, we all recognize, I mean, look at George Bush, Jr. and Sr. These guys have done horrible things. Obama dropped more bombs on black babies than any other president, with all the drones dropping bombs all over the Arab world.
Libya, first of all, let's just face facts. Libya was fucking crimes against humanity. Fucking plain and simple. Sovereign nation, fucking A-OK, whether we believe about their politics or their religion or not, doesn't matter. We infiltrated them in the name of democracy. Hillary Clinton and her Benghazi thing just fucked that place up. And then now there's slavery over there. And Syria was the same thing, and that was about a pipeline. And this fuckery has been going on for a long time. And as far as I can see, our American military has been co-opted, military-industrial complex, to fight these proxy wars, to fight these oil wars. And people don't want to talk about this fucking shit. Hey, fucking what happened to the fucking wars in the Middle East and ISIS? Poof!
They're gone now.
They're fucking gone.
Right. And that's they try to get Trump to rattle his saber. But if you notice, time and time again, he's pulled the troops back. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it. The guy is doing so much good for the country, and that's why the media hates him. Obama did horrible things for the country, and that's why you're supposed to love him. Once again, if you want to know who your enemy is who you cannot criticize. I remember during the Obama administration, you could not. White people, the funniest thing with white people, if you criticize Obama at all, you're instantly a racist. You're instantly a racist. That to me means shut up, do what we tell you. And if you're a white person and you like Donald Trump, you're instantly racist. And that term, like I said, that term racist is a new term. That term was made up. It was made up to make us hate one another. Before racism, the word prejudice, and prejudice is a much better word because it means I'm judging you before I know you. Racism is just a stamp that you put on people because they don't agree with your ideas and your agenda.
Well, here's the thing. The definition of racism is that I feel that my race is superior than yours. And that's a pretty big ego trip.
I tell you what, then if that is the case, then racism in America, from my eyes, is against white people. white people are not the ones that are, you cannot have white pride. White people are not allowed to have pride because that makes them racist right away. But you can have black pride, brown pride, Asian pride. You have all kinds of other pride. But white people who built this country, there's no two ways about it. They came over and they conquered and they built. They're not allowed to be proud. That's the reverse racism.
It's funny you say that because Simon Rex owns a rolling paper company and it's called White Boys. And he gave me a hat. It's written in Old English. I got a sweatshirt as well. And let me tell you, that triggers people. I wear it out into the public. It says White Boys. It says nothing else but White Boys. It doesn't say white pride. It doesn't say anything else. But that definitely triggers people. But let's back it up, Elliot. Me and you gotta back it up, reel it in. Okay, because we got to play devil's advocate for ourselves because motherfuckers are going to be frying us, right? So, okay, so let's back it up. All right, we got protests in the streets. It's real. Let's delineate, because I filmed a peaceful protest yesterday for Breonna Taylor in Santa Monica. It's very peaceful. It was well organized. There didn't seem to be any agent provocateurs. But I didn't stay there all day. I just left. But it looked peaceful. And that was a big difference between what I saw on the news and my children crying while their fucking camping store REI is just being, robbed and burned. And downtown Santa Monica, this is our home. Not many blocks from our home. And so two different things happening: looting, violence, smashing, vandalism, all that stuff. Are they two different things, or are they the same thing? The peaceful protest I saw yesterday, with the cops, there was no batons out there or anything. So are they the same thing? Is this the same? People are just protesting the same thing everywhere, or are there different things going on?
There are different things going on, 100%. And I'm convinced that a lot of the violence in the riots were perpetrated by Antifa. There are those that are, I think they call them alligators. There are people that are put into different, what would otherwise be peaceful situations in order to, they're professional shit starters. And so what you're seeing a lot of times is that the media is showing you, and I was a little hard on black people the other day with my video, because the media, is showing black people rioting and shit. And black people love free stuff. The one thing black people love is free stuff. And so if there's a broken window, they're gonna go take it. But what I'm also convinced of is that these white college kids, Antifas, angry, self-loathing white kids are the ones that are helping to incite that kind of, they're almost like egging on the black anger in order to put a show on for the media to sort of make us angry and to portray this side of the equation.
Okay. And then let's reel it back again. Let's talk about as grounded as possible, because I see there's some trolls out there, again, I'm for the unification of man. I know Elliott's a holistic guy. He thinks in root solutions. We'll get to the solutions before the end of this transmission. But let's talk a little bit about politics, because we're not supposed to talk about politics now. It's a dirty word. But we got an election this year. You've observed, the Democrats, where they're at right now, Trump and everything else. I mean, I'm paying attention to the FISA declassification right now, the real crimes.
Right, the real crimes.
How do you expect justice at the street level if you don't have it at the top level, and most people aren't paying attention at the top? So are you paying attention to the whole political process, the whole process of law? Really? Are we paying attention to that? If you're looking at FISA declassification, Senate hearings this week with Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, with Rod Rosenstein and these other top brass at the Mueller investigation. So that's what I postulate. as above, so below. How do we expect to have justice on the street if we don't have it at the high level, and vice versa? So we want to look at our Justice Department. But Elliot, it's like can we have honest and fair election in the free world, in the United States of America? Or do we have to succumb to coronavirus, which leads to mail-in ballots? Maybe that's not going to work, so let's have race riots. I mean, what is next? I mean, can we have politics? Can we actually be a democracy? Can we talk about this stuff? Or is this off the table? Orange man bad. You know, fuck you. If you're not a Democrat, then you're a racist. I mean, how do we solve our problems from here? How do we talk about politics? And then towards the end of the show, we're going to talk about solutions only. Go ahead.
Well, you're right, bro. You make a great point that why is it right now while the top of the order is being called out, like Hillary Clinton being forced to testify against, for the Benghazi thing and the FISA reports that you're talking about. Why is it that while the puppet masters are being exposed, all the pedophiles are being exposed, why is it that during the time that that's happening, we're being pitted against one another? And again, it's a distraction to turn us against one another and to turn the attention away from the high crimes, the real criminals. Those are the real criminals. If you want to go right straight to the top, you look at who's printing our money. Look at who's making who's making these laws. So I'm with you on that. That a lot of what we're seeing right down here is peanuts compared to what's going on up there. But if we're so busy fighting with one another and look at what is in front of us, we're not going to see the puppet master pulling the strings, the guy behind the curtain, playing us.
Okay, good. Okay, Elliot, you and me, motherfucker, we're men. Fucking, what are we going to do, bro? Fuck we going to do? I'm a fucking leader, dude. I ain't taking shit fucking laying down, bro. Fuck are we going to do?
You know what I think needs to happen also that's not happening is white people need to speak up. Because when you say what we're going to do, the first thing that you see about what people need to do is what they're doing in Washington, D.C. right now. They're marching and the whole street, I just saw a picture, says Black Lives Matters all right across the whole street. In a world where they say that there's no black privilege, to have your name printed, your race printed on the street, and 1 million people are supposed to come, that is quite a privilege, in my opinion. What is not a privilege is for white people or for conservatives to speak their mind, because you'll be immediately attacked. If you have an idea different than Black Lives Matters or different opinion than the progressive liberal ideas, a different idea about racism, you gotta shut up. So in my opinion, when you talk about what we need to do, it's not about what we need to do, it's about what good people need to do. The people who are on the right side of the coin. Now everybody thinks they're on the right side of the coin, but those who you are allowed to speak are usually the ones that are on the wrong. Those that are forced to shut up are usually ones on the right. And the people that are shut up and the people that are forced to shut up are white people, conservatives, Trump supporters. They're the ones that need to shut up and sit down. And you're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say on TV, white people, white man, shut up and sit down. They say this all the time. I saw some program with some black girl saying that. You know what you're not allowed to say? Black girl, shut up and sit down. Why? Because some people have a voice, some people don't. The people I'm talking to right now that need to speak up are, like I said, white people who have been shut down, shut up, and not allowed to speak their opinion because they're going to be labeled as racist, conservatives, Trump supporters who zip their mouth because they don't want to be ousted by their friends or these businesses. I'm a businessman, like you said. But I tell you what, I'd rather speak my voice and lose subscribers, lose followers, and lose customers, and be honest with myself and honest with the people that I talk to. A lot of people calling me out, talking, like I'm doing this, I'm doing this for some sort of commercial reason, like I'm pandering to my audience. No, I'm speaking my voice. I'm speaking my truth. And you know what? If 99.9% of you hate me because of it, I don't care. You got to stop caring what these evil people think.
Well, let me just tell you, there's two sides to that. So my business is trying to be heard by people that disagree. Hey, they don't even have to disagree with me, Elliot. They disagree, not even with this video, with something you said last year, last week, 3 days ago. They can just disagree with you, and they don't disagree with just you. Just something that they heard that triggered something that they disagree with.
Right.
So first and foremost, just being associated with you has already come back as a potential threat to my business, a big threat, especially because, anyhow, just being associated with you has come back as a threat to my business on one side. And then on the whole other side, there's certain factions of my business that are exploding at the same time when I'm losing followers. So it's just a weird situation. But people are trying to hurt me and telling me that, you know, either my book sucks or fuck you and the horse you rode in on, and we don't want to do business with you anymore because of Orange Man bad, or you're a misogynist, or Elliot's a racist. Fuck you too, because you are, and he likes Trump, so I don't like you anymore, Troy. So, you know, so I am being silenced on many levels, whether I speak out at freedom rallies or whether I don't speak out because I don't want to get arrested or killed during a looting or something like that. Or I was busy doing other work. How about that? How about I might be actually a busy human being?
Yeah.
And for 3 days while this thing went on fire, I was doing something else. And now I pulled out all stops. And if you've seen the last 48 hours, all I've been doing is recordings and putting voice of other on my page. And I'm happy to have the leaders of the Democrat Party. Fucking Joe Biden can come on here any day of the week and explain his position. I'm happy to have all sides. So I just wanted to say that people are trying to hurt my business and writing me. And actually, my business is going, you know, to the moon right now, even though people are trying to write me to hurt me. Okay, here we go, man. Solutions. I've got my solutions, but what are some 1, 2, 3s that people can do to strongest version of yourself, whatever it is, but how do we move forward as adults in this situation?
Well, there is no moving forward without repentance, because we're all wrong. We all fucked up. We all got wrong ideas. We're all hypnotized. We're all having our strings pulled by the enemy. There's no question about it. And what that requires is the humility to recognize that I'm probably wrong. All of us have to recognize that I've made mistakes, I've been wrong, and I could be wrong right now. I think what really keeps us most separate is the pride that doesn't allow us to be more open to ideas that are contrary to our own. I think it's good to have your own values. I think it's good to have boundaries, but I also think it's good to break the mental bondage in many instances. So recognize I might, just because I've been told this my whole life, just because the school has been telling me this my whole life, just because the media is telling me this, just because everybody else is about this does not mean it's right. You have to be willing to soften the mental prison bars just enough to be able to say, maybe there's an alternative. Maybe there's a different story. Maybe there's something else I'm not hearing or not seeing. And the only way, like I said, you got to repent, but then you have to set aside your emotions. You got to set aside you got to set aside your bigotry, your racism. I tell you, when I was younger, right, I'm mixed race. So when you mix race, you're automatically black in a lot of ways. For a lot of people, at least we've been told that. We've been taught that. And that's sort of a meme itself also, because it's not true. I'm not black. I'm not white. I'm both. I'm human, right? So like I said in my post yesterday, I don't want privileges from either. But when I was younger, and I would get into situations, like I remember when I was in high school, I applied for this job, and I remember walking in there, right? I was a little thug. I had on like big pants, and you know, I was kind of like, I was being like an arrogant little nigger, just like I was taught to behave. And I didn't get the job. First thing I thought when I walked out that door was like, that guy's racist. Why is that racist guy not hiring me? And I walked out, and I blamed it on that. I didn't blame it on my bad behavior. I didn't blame it on my not being a stand-up guy. I didn't blame it on the shitty clothes that I was wearing for a job interview. I didn't blame it on any other stuff. But you know what? Guess what? I turned around a week later, because I was trying to get the job through my school. Turned around a week later, this other black kid that is in one of my classes got the job. He got the job, I didn't get the job, and I was steady calling this guy racist because he didn't take me. Why? Because we're taught that. You're taught that. You got to remember that a lot of your feelings and a lot of your judgments and a lot of the things that you assert immediately is not true. All white people are not racist. I would say most white people are not racist. And and check this out, because I think a lot about this stuff, and I've had a lot of experiences. Not only that, being mixed race, so I have a lot of experiences. I remember I had a white friend when I was a kid, and he went to a private school. And I remember going to his private school, you know, like my school was out and his school was still in. And so we were best friends. So he invited me, hey, you want to come to my school? It was a Waldorf school. And it was all white, mostly white kids, because, you know, those are the ones that can afford it. And I went there, and I was the biggest superstar on campus. All the white kids were so nice to me. They were so nice to me. The girls, they liked me. The boys, they wanted to be like me. I was never treated like a superstar ever before that way in my life. And I quickly realized that above and beyond is because I'm black. And I know, and I validated that also this year with my kids at their school. My kids, I tell my kids they're white. My wife is white. I'm half white. My kids look like they're white. I don't want my kids, this is one of the things they used to try to tell me to do, and I tell my children, I do not encourage them to do this, because you have a little bit of black in you that you're supposed to ask for scholarships, and you're supposed to ask for handouts and pandering. I said, no, you do not do that. But anyway, I remember going with my oldest daughter to the school, and it's all white kids. I send my kids to a private school, and it's mostly white kids. There's a couple black kids that are there because of scholarships and handouts. And I remember walking through the campus, and the black kids in my daughter's class, especially there's two black boys, were the kings. They were all the white kids was around them. They were like the alphas of the entire situation. Why? Because the white kids treat the black kids good. I've only seen it. Why? I'll ask most people this, and if they want to be honest, they'll give you the same answer I always give you. Do you want to be the only white kid in an all-black school? I tell you right away, if you're honest, no. You don't want to be it's good to be a black kid in an all-white school, just from my experience, but you do not want to be the only white kid in a black school. I remember going to my cousins who look more black than me. I remember going to Brooklyn a bunch of times when I was a kid, and I go to Brooklyn to hang out with them, sleep over their house and stuff. I had the exact opposite experience. Every time I walk into the apartment building, the other black kids, I didn't even know what was going on, because I was so ignorant at the time as a kid. But I walk in and they start like looking me up and down like this. I remember this. And they came in and they were like circling me. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I had no idea what was going on. I'm just here with my cousins. And I remember one of my cousins had to come up, and it was a girl cousin. Rest in peace, Christine, I love you. She came up to these kids. She said, get the fuck out of my cousin's face. That's my cousin. Get the fuck out of here. And I didn't know what was going on. And she explained to me later, she's like, they wanted to jump you because you're white. I was like, whoa, really? And so, look, man, only why I tell you this is because we're fed a whole lot of bullshit in the media and in the culture that is completely ass backwards. I could go on and on about the lies about the interracial crime rates. It doesn't take much to look and to be honest about the fact that even though blacks are 13% of the population, 14% of the population, they commit 65, 70% of the violent crimes against one another, against other races. white on black crime is tiny compared to black on white crime. You just have to go to the Department of Justice website and look up these statistics and play with some numbers a little bit, because the first thing they'll tell you is that, you know, it has something to do with the fact that there's more of one race than the other. But if you extrapolate it, like I've done, you'll come to find out that blacks are 10 times more aggressive, violent than the whites in this country. Why? Not because they're black, but because of the paradigm, because of the attitude and idea that I've been victimized, you're the bad guy, you did this to me, you owe me something, and my life sucks because of you. This whole idea of systematic racism, I think, is a bullshit lie as well. Everybody in America has an opportunity. Every fucking body has an opportunity in America. You would think that Barack Obama becoming president would prove that, but you still got people crying systematic racism. I think that's another made up lie. I think that's another made up word to make people ungrateful for what they have in this country. Black people in America have it great, amazing, all kinds of handouts, all kinds of benefits, privilege. Black privilege exists when you look at affirmative action. You look at the fact that they have job quotas. Many of these organizations, many of these companies, they have to fulfill a certain amount of black, and they do the same thing with women, jobs. You see this with all kinds of things. So if all you hear from the media is white privilege, you have to do this. You got to go, okay, what's on the other side of that coin? White privilege can't exist if there isn't an other side of the coin. And you got to look at it with a discerning eye. You can't just fall blatant for your emotional responses based on the condition that you've had.
Okay, thank you for that. And remember, guys, Elliott said that, not me. So don't start trying to take pot shots at me. Those are his words. His point of view, I respect it, just like I respect anybody else that's come on here. I want to present solutions just because of my own perspective, because I'm solution-oriented. Men out there, if you want to make a difference in the world, my solution is to become healthy. Mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Start with the physical if you don't know about the other ones, because the physical is the easiest one to look at. Look in the mirror naked, literally and figuratively. Who do you want to be? If you're soft, harden up, guys. Get rid of the inflammatory agents, get rid of the shitty food, start putting pure water, get into the sunlight, ground into the earth. Mother Earth will teach you. Nutrition is medicine, food as medicine, movement as medicine. Walking's the #1 best way the human body is to move through time and space. If you don't know what a good exercise program and you haven't bought one of Elliott's, he has many amazing ones, get one. If not, just start walking. You are in your own way. You're fat because you're fat. It's not because of anyone else. We can't blame anyone else because you're fat. Right? Start taking responsibility. 70% of the American people are obese or overweight. Me, Paul Chek, Elliott, and many other Sean Croxton, JERF activists, Just Eat Real Food, are out here trying to change the food supply. Why? Because the food supply compromises your gut microbiome. Just like BLM has been compromised, your gut microbiome gets compromised, and it's directly related to your brain chemistry, where the brain viruses are manufactured. So if you don't have a good gut microbiome, you don't have contact with your primal instincts. Your primal instincts know right from wrong, know what's on the horizon as a man to eat, and what potentially threatens you or will eat you. And right now, those are ideas. You have to have a clean gut and a clean mind to understand where the true enemy is. And ultimately, as Gandhi said, as David Icke talked about many years ago, it's all an inside job, right? As they do the totalitarian tiptoe to try and encroach on your ideas, it's an inside job, whether that's yoga, meditation, weightlifting, grounding, walking, pure water, figuring out your purpose, dream, and legacy. I don't care what it is. But get back to basics and do the inside work. Become healthy. 70% of the American people are obese or overweight. That's your #1 prime directive, is to become healthy. True integrity is when the mind, the mouth, the heart, and the gut are all aligned. When they're out of alignment, literally or figuratively, you're fucked. So if your gut has been compromised, that means your mind has been compromised. And what comes out of your mouth is not congruent or coherent. So wise up, raise those frequency and vibrations. Get down with your holistic health, bad self. If you don't like Elliott's political views, that's fine. He's got tons of men's work. Go to one of his grounding camps. Look, we don't have rites of passage. All of a sudden, okay, you're a man, you turned 21, so you can go out and drink beer. What about some gnarly self-expression? Go out and live in nature for 4 days with no water and food, with the elements. Go to the grounding camp. Get into yourself with the meditations that Elliott has. Tune yourself up. Challenge yourself. Put yourself face to face with another man that you disagree with, and then figure it out, right? Because at the fundamental level, we have more similarities than we do differences. And so get in the trenches, guys, with your bad self. Get in that mirror, do that meditation, look inside, heal the world by healing yourself. That's my solution.
The man, Troy. I love it.
All right. Well, God bless you, man. I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to cut you loose. I know you're going with your family. I love your family. I love Colleen. You guys are awesome. Please stay in touch, and we'll do this again.
Sometimes
I want to come out to the grounding camps as well, and I want to have you on my lives, men's works as well. And I just want to do more business with you because I think we can cross promote, and your stuff is amazing. You've been crushing it for years, and I really give it up to you. Thank you, Elliott, for your work.
You got it, Troy. We'll make it happen, bro.
Okay. God bless, man. See you soon.
God bless.
Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and then check in the description box. All the programs that I have to take your health and consciousness to the next level is in the link below.